What's up guys, it's Amanda, welcome back to my channel and happy Artsy Fartsy Friday. Today we're going to take a look at this finished sketchbook. I've done a few sketchbook updates of this book so far, so you can check those out on my channel. I'll have them linked in the info cards and in the description bar down below, so if you want to catch up on what this sketchbook contains in the first 2/3, you'll have to check out those videos, but we're going to be looking at the final batch of sketches in this sketchbook, and admittedly it's a little bit all over the place. Most of these are unfinished except for a few at the very end. Sometimes it's just me randomly jotting down an idea just to go back to later, and I do save my sketchbooks and look back on them every now and again just to kind of get re-inspired or revisit old ideas that never came to fruition. So that is a lot of what you're going to see in this sketchbook, and hopefully it'll be interesting. So we're starting off with a lovely little pinup sketch. Pretty cute, pretty simple. I like the pose. Obviously the composition's weird with it not really being centered. I probably would have done that differently in hindsight, but sometimes I don't necessarily know how much of the page a pose is going to take up, so when I start it, I kind of just go for it, and that's the point of a sketchbook. It's kind of weird, it's kind of awkward, and if you're wondering, I do all of my sketches in these Prismacolor Kohl Erase pencils. I kind of pick whatever color I'm feeling like using, and I'll usually use a couple in each illustration just to kind of build up my sketch and refine it. This next spread is really not much to look at. I have this unfinished kind of head portrait here that I apparently didn't like, so I didn't finish. Looking at it now, it doesn't look terrible, but I guess I just wasn't feeling very inspired by it in the moment. Then I have some random words written down here. I'm not remembering what they mean right now. One says Gotham Girl Series, one says Growing Pains, Love Sick, and Tough as Nails, and I have literally no idea what any of those mean. So that was helpful. Past self. This page is a couple of sticker designs that ended up being my December sticker designs. You can see the two finished designs here. These were Patreon exclusive for the month of December, and these were really fun. So this is kind of where it started. I kind of just fleshed out the rough idea and the shapes, and then I moved over into Procreate and created these digitally, and this is what the final result looks like. So just so you kind of see, sometimes I just need my sketchbook to flesh out a very basic, simple idea, and then I turn it into something else, either on a finished piece of paper or in my on my iPad. And then I was also fleshing out some greeting card designs, which were also Patreon exclusive for the month of December. These were like really simple and not very pretty to look at, but that just kind of gave me a feel for like how they would look centered on a greeting card. So yeah, then on this side we have a pose that again I wasn't very happy with, so you can see a lot of these kind of unfinished sketches that don't really go anywhere. And sometimes I just have to work through a few pages of my sketchbook like this before I get into a creative flow where I'm actually liking the work that I'm creating. So you can see that here. At this point I had actually switched to ballpoint pen, which sometimes if I'm feeling stuck, that's something that I'll do just to switch things up. I can't erase it, so if it looks bad, it looks bad, but I don't get too caught up in trying to fix it. So I have this kind of tsunami wave design, which came into play for, I think it was the month of December for the Copic Colors challenge, and I'll insert like the final piece on this side of the screen so that you can see it, but that was kind of the rough inspiration for that illustration. And this was kind of another pose for that same design, but I didn't include the wave on this page, and this is more similar to the pose I ended up going with in the finished illustration, as you'll have seen. Oh, cool, I actually have the sketch for that piece in here. I didn't think that I did it in my sketchbook, but apparently I did. So yeah, this was the sketch for that piece, so you can kind of just see the transition to this very loose idea, trying to nail down a pose, and then really kind of refining it into something that I liked enough to actually color it. So yeah. I don't like this page. This was supposed to be kind of a more realistic self-portrait of me. I don't think it looks anything like me. I don't know. it's weird. And I did it with like brush pens, and I was trying to practice my brush lettering. I got some new brush pens, and so I was just playing around with them, and yeah, I don't know. On this page, I have another sketch that I did in these same brush pens, but I like this one a lot more. I tried to kind of play with foreshortening a little bit on this angle, and yeah, so that was this pose, and just kind of a random sketch that I wanted to get down on paper. Most of my sketches don't really have an end goal in mind. Very few of them ever turn into finished pieces. And you can see on this page, sometimes the goal is for me to just like jot down ideas. This is something I easily could have done in like a notebook or my planner, but for some reason I wanted to put it in my sketchbook. So some people might see this as like a wasted page. I see this as kind of like a good benchmark. So I know, okay, this was around January when I was kind of trying to think ahead and plan my video ideas for the next couple months. So like the Copic Colors Challenge, a 2018 art recap, an art snacks review, both for January and February, Patreon Valentine's, like all of that. And I got to practice some brush lettering in there too. So it's not like completely a lost cause, but yeah, I had written down some ideas there. And then these were kind of some rough ideas for the Valentines that I created for the month of February. And I kind of tried to play around with a couple of different ones. I wanted them to be very non-conventional Valentines. Like pretend this is chocolate and then inside have drawings of chocolate. I didn't end up doing that one. This one that says you're okay, I guess. No sweeter words were ever spoken, then let's go to Taco Bell. Like, you can see that's more the direction I ended up going. That wasn't the exact Valentine, but it was all kind of on that theme. Then I had this one that says I love you more than words, but I'm not changing out of sweatpants. Like, just kind of very relatable, off the beaten path Valentines that I would enjoy. So I wanted to make those. And then these were some more ideas. I ended up doing this design here. I ended up finishing this design, I should say, of these two chili peppers that say, hey there, hot stuff. So that was one of my designs. Then we just have some more pose stuff. I was trying to plan the pose for my YouTube Artist Collective piece, which you can see on this side of the page, which is another pinup illustration. And so I was kind of trying to play around with some loose poses here. Clearly I wasn't super committed to this one. I ended up going for more of like this direction and then fleshing that out more on this page. So that was that. You can see this is rare for me to have a sketch that's this refined. But I really love this illustration. If you haven't seen this video yet, I do highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites. Oh, this page is actually blank. You don't see that too often. I probably left it blank so that when I scanned in this image, I wouldn't get like a ghost print on the other side. Because I think when I scanned this image, I actually just ended up printing this exact sketch onto a piece of watercolor paper and then painting it, which I don't do very often. It's kind of a lazy shortcut, but because I did that, I didn't put anything on this back page. Maybe I'll go back and fill this page before I break in a new sketchbook just to get the most use out of it as possible. And then this is a sketch that's supposed to be my character Sagittarius from the Zodiac series, which was finished up in the very beginning of this sketchbook. She was actually the first sketch in this sketchbook as well. So I just felt like drawing her. I changed her costume a little bit, and she's a little bit like longer and lankier in this illustration, and I liked the pose, but then I thought, what a horribly impractical outfit. I can't finish this illustration. There's no way that she would ever be able to do anything in this outfit. So I kind of gave up, even though I like the sketch and I like the pose and everything, and I just, yeah, I don't know, gave up. This is horrible. I don't know what happened here. I was working directly in pen, which is always a gamble. Sometimes it's a gamble I like doing, sometimes it's not. The proportions on that are terrible. It's stiff, it's awkward. I don't want to talk about it. So then I have a sketch of my character Volana. You can see I was really into like this hand pose, like this very extreme hand pose, because I drew that again here. I really like this sketch of Volana. I think it's cute. I am kind of stuck on her design. I think with the new Frozen movie coming out, she looks too much like Elsa for me, and I kind of want to change it up, so I might change up her character design a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, I didn't draw on this page either. I don't know why. I was like so lazy on drawing on the backs of some of these. I'm usually not like that. So I'm definitely going to go back and fill up some of these blank pages in here. Here's some hand studies. I really like the way that these came out actually. Every single one of these is at least pretty good. There's only 4 but I want to do more of these because I need to be better at drawing hands. I get really frustrated at how I draw hands sometimes, and I need to do more studies and more practice. This is another sketch of Volana. I tried to do a little bit more of like a background thing with like her sitting on this log and this kind of foresty lake scene behind her. I was also trying to draw Helios and Volana. I was trying to do a sketch that included both of them. And that proves to be really challenging for me sometimes. To draw multiple characters in a piece is just something I still fight with. Even after doing the Zodiac project for a year, I still struggle with this. So I ended up not liking this pose very much because he looked very like possessive in this pose, and that's not how I wanted to portray his character. So I tried drawing it again here, still didn't really like it, didn't even really get to drawing Volana, drawing it again here, and then kind of giving up. So yeah, and then I was planning out the Copic Colors illustration for February, so that's what these random swatches are. I really liked these colors, by the way. I thought they were really, really cool. And then on this side, this is supposed to be a sketch of Persephone from the webcomic Lore Olympus. It doesn't really resemble her, but yeah, that's who it was supposed to be. Then on this side, I have like a quick pose for the illustration I wanted to do for the month of February. I wanted to have a girl kind of in her pajamas and really comfy and cozy, and just this kind of relaxed pose. I ended up going with something pretty different that you're about to see here in a minute. And then the notes on the side were something that was going around on Instagram stories where you pick a song for every letter in your name. And again, I guess I just didn't have another piece of paper to write this on, so I chose my sketchbook. Kind of weird, but I don't know, it's kind of funny to look back on. So the songs that I picked were ABC by the Jackson 5, Mess Is Mine by Vance Joy, All These Things by The Killers, Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and then And We Danced by MacLeod. So lots of my favorite artists in that mix. So this spread looks really messy. Again, this is a pose that I was trying to flesh out for the Copic Colors illustration for the month of February. The hands were awkward, it was too long, and I couldn't really figure out the t-shirt with it being both like loose fitting in some areas and then form fitting in other areas. I was kind of having a hard time with that. So yeah, and then on this side we have the pastel illustration that I did from the February Heart Snacks box, which I'm being very careful not to touch because it still kind of grosses me out, and that's why these two pages are just a mess, because pastels are a literal nightmare. So yeah, I didn't draw anything on the back of this page intentionally, and I won't, because if I draw on the back of this page, it's going to transfer the pastel even more onto this page underneath, so I'm not going to do that. This was the February Copic Colors illustration, and you can see it kind of evolved from like this pose to like to this pose, which is more of the character design I was going for, but the pose was still kind of off. And then I kept the character, but I changed the outfit. I wanted her to maybe like not like what she was wearing as much and feel kind of out of her element, which is something that I kind of relate to. So I ended up doing ultimately kind of a safer pose, which was kind of a cop-out in my opinion, but I like the finished illustration a lot, and I think it conveys the emotion that I was going for really well. So yeah, this is actually a free line art download on Patreon too, so if you're a patron, you can download that and color it. I have some more notes on this page. This was planning for the March Patreon sticker sheet, which I have the finished product of. I'll show you just so you can kind of see the comparison come together. The theme for March's sticker sheet was bad luck. And originally I just did some quick Googling and thought of some symbols that conveyed bad luck. Like a black cat, a broken mirror. I wanted to add roses to that, so I wrote that down. Friday the 13th, spilled salt, and I thought of maybe doing something with like the Morton Salt Girl, which I'll get to in a minute. Like a raven, supposedly is like a bad omen. Replying to this chain email or else, that was kind of a stretch, didn't end up doing that. Upside down horseshoe, a Ouija board, and then thunder and lightning cloud was just kind of like a random thing that I threw in there because I thought it might fit. I obviously ended up keeping the broken mirror, Friday the 13th, the Ouija board, the unlucky. I did the lightning bolt, kind of breaking this crystal ball is kind of like bad news for your future kind of thing. And then the black cat silhouette in the moon with the roses. So I kind of got to continue like the rose theme throughout. I really like the sticker sheet, and you can see these were the original sketches that I had done. I ended up changing a few of them, and yeah, so that was basically it. That was my March sticker sheet, and this was how it all came together. So there is still time to get this sticker sheet if you are interested. You can pledge to be one of my patrons for the month of March, and you'll get this as well as a print sent to you. And it will be available on my store after the month of March is over, but it is a better deal to get it on Patreon. So if you're interested, more information about that will be in the description bar down below. Now moving on here, we have this pose. I think this was me trying to redesign Valana's character with this highly voluminous ponytail. It was giving me Megara from Hercules vibes, which is also a direction I don't really want to go in. So I'm still stuck. I'm still thinking on it. Bear with me. Then this is the page I started trying Posca markers on. You can see there's just some messy squashes. You can see my messy squash. Oh my gosh, I keep saying squashes. You can see my messy swatches on this page, and just a quick little doodle of the style that I was trying to go for, although this wasn't the final piece that I ended up doing. When I first sat down to film the Posca marker videos, I was having like a really long, bad day. I got home and I was really grumpy, and so I wanted to do an illustration that kind of conveyed that mood. But as I sat down and was drawing with them, I kind of just cheered up, and I was like not really grumpy anymore, so I didn't want to draw something grumpy anymore. But I was originally kind of going for this idea of like a girl being like, I'm over it, or like, you know, I don't know. I was just kind of trying to convey something that I was no longer feeling at the time, so I ended up drawing something that was much cuter and more bubbly. That was the result that I ended up going with, and this is an exclusive video over on Patreon as well. Sorry to keep shouting out Patreon so much, but I feel like it's just kind of relevant in this sketchbook in particular. This was the thumbnail page for my mini comic Blocked. It's very hard to see because it's just in light pencil, but I literally just went through and did like 12 little thumbnails for each of the panels, really loose, and I ended up basing each of the panels basically directly off of these sketches, and it was a really simple style, so you can check that out. It's basically on all my social media at this point, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out because it's very relevant to this time in my sketchbook in particular, because I was just feeling very like stuck and defeated. So yeah, that's what all of that's about. This was a little sketch for another Posca marker illustrations that I did. I really love the way that came out, very cute. And then just some other sketches, like I was kind of just trying to draw some girls that were like more athletic, or like wearing like jerseys, like they're just more like sporty, I guess. So yeah, I was doing that. Some more kind of doodles in this Posca marker style. I don't really know what else to call it. But this was the sketch idea that I had for this Posca marker illustration, and this ended up being the print for the month of March over on Patreon. And this was pulled from this spilled salt idea. Seems like kind of a stretch, but when I was thinking spilled salt, I was thinking of the Morton Salt girl, like the little girl on the bottles of salt that you buy. And so I just had this idea of like a yellow rain jacket, like getting struck by lightning. Like that was kind of this image that came to mind. And so that was sort of what I wanted to include with the bad luck sticker sheet. I realized they don't really go together, but I like them both a lot. And to me, there's like this tie between them. And hopefully explaining that to you guys now, you get to see more of that tie and where my head was at and how I was thinking of those ideas. So yeah, I like this Posca marker style. It's very cute and simple. A lot of people have said it reminds them of Animal Crossing. I totally get that. I think that was definitely an inspiration for me as well. And yeah, I probably want to lean on this style a little bit more in the future, just because it is so fun and easy, and I just really enjoy that about it. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking it too. And these little messy sketches down here were brainstorming for this Posca marker illustration, which wasn't actually meant to be Poison Ivy at first, but it ended up becoming Poison Ivy because I really couldn't picture any other character in this pose, and so I just kind of ran with it. And I'm glad I did. I like this sketch a lot, or this illustration a lot. I think it's really cool. And so yeah, that's where that started and where it ended. I have this messy sketch on this side. This is just a very loose illustration of a pose that I was trying to do for another illustration I'll show you in a second. And then just some Copic swatches here on the end, because sometimes if you don't like a page, at least you can use it for something else, like swatching out colors, and that can still feel pretty effective. This is a drawing that was supposed to be for International Women's Day. I didn't end up finishing it for International Women's Day, so that's too bad, but I guess any day can be International Women's Day. And so, yeah, I was very inspired by Rosie the Riveter, by the pose and the colors, but I wanted to do kind of a little bit more of a modern twist, and in my style, obviously, so that's kind of what this is. And I like it. I think it's cool. So yeah, I like that. And then these were the colors that I used, so very few colors, pretty simple and straightforward, but I like it a lot. And that completely bled through, so you can really see how much I blended on this one. So this was the illustration that I was trying to do with this pose here. Kind of different, but this was using the Copic colors for the month of March. Ultimately, I just think that this pose is stiff and boring. I thought it would be cool to have this girl like floating. It was originally supposed to be kind of like a space galaxy thing, like she's gonna have this galaxy of hair, and I don't know, it just looks like boring to me. I think the hair looks good, but the skin looks flat. The pose just looks stiff. Her expression is like blank. I don't know. I just didn't like it as much. I think like it has good parts to it. Like it could have been good. I just didn't like the way that I executed it. And at this point, I didn't have all of the correct Copic colors, so I felt like the skin tone just looked kind of off for the piece. Like I didn't include this orange anywhere else to balance this out. So the colors are just too separate from each other, and I just didn't really know what to do with these colors yet. So yeah, well, that bled through, and then for some reason I decided I didn't like the sketch on this page originally. You can barely see it now because the marker on the other side bled through so bad, but I didn't like that sketch, so I flipped over to this page and I switched to upside down, which I don't normally do in my sketchbook. That probably drives some people nuts, but this was my Copic marker, Copic colors illustration for March, using the Copic colors. I think I used YR02 because I didn't have YR01. I used BG09 because I didn't have BG07, and then I used B01, which was actually one of the Copic colors. I also added black and YR000, so that might be considered kind of cheating, but I don't really count it as cheating because it's like, who cares? It's not that serious. But I did this portrait originally. Before I added the eyelashes, what I liked about this character is that it was like a very androgynous character. It wasn't really clear whether this was like a male or a female character, and I liked that. But I really thought of sticking with that all the way till the end, but then I added the eyelashes and I got a little crazy, and then I was like, okay, well now this character looks more feminine. It doesn't have to be, and I kind of still like that about it, but I think that the eyes are very striking. They really kind of draw the eye in. And I like this. I love these colors together. I love complementary colors, the blue and the orange together. I really enjoy that. And I like this a lot. It's very messy and painterly. And this was actually part of last week's video, along with a digital illustration of me comparing digital and traditional art using the same color palette. So yeah, if you want to check that out, feel free to. It's up on my channel, and I'll have it linked in the cards and down below. And then the last sketch in this sketchbook is actually one that I just did a few minutes ago. I did this sketch literally like 30 minutes before sitting down to film this video. And this is an illustration I did on stream. So I don't stream as much on Twitch as I would like to, but I sat down to do a stream, and it was a very small stream. There was pretty much one viewer the entire time, and it was this viewer, Emotional Bullspit. And they were kind of just chatting with me the whole time, and it was supposed to be a request stream, and so they had this request to draw viewers as Pokemon, and I thought that was really cool. So we did a random Pokemon generator, and he sent me a picture of himself, and I drew him as Lapras, which was the random Pokemon that was picked, and I thought that was cool. So I would love to do more of these on stream. I don't do request streams all the time, but if I do them in the future, they're a lot of fun. So I liked this a lot. It's a very empty page. I feel like I could definitely fill it up more. I left some space just in case somebody else dropped in the stream and did want a Pokemon portrait, or a Poke portrait, as I'll call them from now on. But this was fun, and that was basically the last page in the sketchbook. These were some misprints of the bad luck stickers. My Cry-Cut print them a bit offset, but on the regular sticker sheets they're fine. I kind of fixed that issue. So yeah, but that's it for my sketchbook video, and this is the end of this sketchbook. So oh my gosh, when I start a new sketchbook, I'm gonna have to add all new stickers to it. It's gonna be really fun and exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so in case you're wondering, in case you didn't know, I use the Canson Mixed Media sketchbooks. These are the 7 by 10 inch ones. They come with 60 sheets. I really like the paper in here. I like working in these sketchbooks. They're really cool. So yeah, this was a good one. Sad to see it go, but I'm also ready to start a new and fun adventure in a brand new sketchbook. So thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot to me, and I will see you on the internet. Bye.